The galactic tribunal chamber trembled as an ancient gavel struck stone, echoing through the vast hall lined with alien delegates. Kane knelt, his wrists shackled, his breath shallow. The alien judge, Xytheron, said, "Humanity's crimes are endless, its wars unending, its greed unmatched." The words sliced like cold blades, and fleets in orbit hovered, waiting. Billions of alien eyes watched, their silence heavier than steel. Michael's mind replayed memories of fire and loss, but his body refused to collapse. Chains bit into his skin, yet his gaze rose defiantly. The judge declared, "Extinction is the sentence." Silence fell. "Malnomu kanti." And then from the shadows a whisper brushed his ear, unseen by others. "They're not only judging you, they're judging us all." Michael's knees pressed against the icy floor, the sound of his heartbeat louder than the silence around him. He thought of Earth, of cities reduced to ash, of voices that had once filled the air with laughter. Judge Xytheron said, "This trial is not of one man, but of a species too dangerous to remain." Michael whispered, "You fear us because we endure." The words barely reached the chamber, but they struck like sparks in dry wood. Aliens exchanged uneasy glances, though most remained unmoved. A holographic display lit the chamber with images of Earth's wars, mushroom clouds, and mass graves. Michael flinched at the sight, but his jaw clenched harder. He thought, if this was humanity's last hour, it would not be spent in silence. The tribunal chamber swelled with holograms that painted history in fire and ash. Alien voices hissed in chorus, echoing condemnation. Michael lifted his head, defiance breaking through exhaustion. He said, "You show only shadows. You show only scars." Judge Xytheron slammed the gavel again, its crystalline strike shaking the hole. The alien said, "Scars define you. Blood fuels you. You are chaos given form." The chamber quivered as alien delegates nodded in cold agreement. Michael's chest burned, but he thought of his sister's smile, the last human face he cherished. He whispered to himself, "Scars also remind us we survive." The words were not meant for the chamber, but they carried weight within him. Michael's breath rasped, his voice fraying but unbroken. "You call us chaos," he said, "but you fear the spark that chaos leaves behind." Judge Xytheron's cold gaze sharpened, his silver eyes narrowing. The alien declared, "Love is not power. It is weakness. It is the chain that drags your kind into ruin." Michael trembled, but his words came louder. "Love is what makes extinction impossible." The chamber stirred, unease rippling like wind across a frozen sea. Holograms flickered, showing human parents shielding children, soldiers carrying comrades, strangers pulling one another from rubble. For the first time, silence did not feel like certainty, but like hesitation. The gavel struck again, and the chamber quaked with finality. Judge Xytheron said, "Humanity shall face extinction, not for its crimes, but for its defiance." Michael's pulse surged, yet his voice rang out, "You fear us because you see yourselves in us." Alien delegates stirred uneasily, their features tightening. Michael's body sagged with chains, but his spirit rose with the weight of 1,000,000,000 lives. From the shadows, the whisper returned, "Survive tomorrow, and you will see the truth." His heart froze at the sound, as if the chamber itself had spoken. He thought of Earth, of children unborn, and in that moment, his silence became defiance carved into stone. The chamber's silence faded into the cold solitude of a prison cell. Kane sat against the wall, chains loosened but still binding his ankles. The walls pulsed faintly with alien circuitry, humming like a living organism. He closed his eyes and saw Earth's ruins flickering in memory. His mother's voice lingered, faint and fragile, calling him home. He whispered, "I carry them with me." A guard with insectoid armor hissed, striking the bars as warning. Michael's jaw tightened, but he did not rise. His body trembled with exhaustion, yet his spirit bristled against despair. Alone in the dark, he realized the trial was more than judgment. It was a test meant to strip him of dignity before stripping life itself. Shadows lengthened across the cell as a figure appeared beyond the energy bars. It was Helena Voss, once his comrade, now cloaked in alien insignia. Her sharp eyes glimmered with both regret and cruelty. She said, "You should accept their mercy. Survival is found in obedience." Michael's chest tightened at the betrayal etched in her voice. He answered, "Obedience is death without dignity." She smirked, her face lit by the glow of alien glyphs. "Dignity is worthless in extinction." The words cut deeper than the chains. Michael looked away, his silence heavier than defiance, and in that silence Helena saw the ember that she herself had long extinguished. Sleep never came. Instead, memories crept in like ghosts. Michael remembered running through fire-ravaged streets, clutching his younger sister's hand. Her laughter once lit his world, but in his memory it ended with silence beneath falling rubble. He pressed his fists against the floor, whispering, "I failed you." The cell shimmered with holograms, cruel reminders of loss conjured by alien watchers. His body shook as sorrow twisted into rage. Yet beneath grief was a truth. Every scar on his soul carried a reason to resist. His sister's memory was not weakness. It was his anchor, holding him in place as storms raged around him. The silence broke with the sound of shifting energy fields. Another figure approached, Lyora, the silent ally. She was female alien, with graceful silver skin and sorrowful violet eyes. She stood apart from the guards, her movements soft, as if weighed by empathy. She spoke gently, her voice like flowing water. "I have seen this before. Entire species broken under the illusion of justice." Michael raised his head, suspicion flickering, but her gaze held no cruelty. She said, "Do not surrender. They fear not your crimes but your endurance." Her words lingered, fragile yet sharp, cutting against the despair that clung to him. Michael sat back against the wall, her words echoing in his mind. "Endurance," he whispered, tasting the meaning as if it were both curse and weapon. Above him, the cell ceiling shimmered with projections of humanity's past, fire, war, betrayal, but also hands reaching for each other in the dark. His chest swelled with a pain so vast it felt endless, yet inside, the pain was defiance. He said, "If they fear us for surviving, then I will endure until their fear consumes them." The chamber beyond might await his destruction, but within the cell, a seed of rebellion had been planted. Its roots dug into the silence. The tribunal reconvened, its colossal chamber alive with cold light and judgment. Michael Kane was dragged forward in chains, his wrists bleeding but his gaze unbroken. Judge Xytheron thundered, "Let all witness the weight of their crimes." A wave of holograms erupted around the chamber, displaying scenes of human wars, burning cities, and oceans filled with corpses. Delegates sneered, some hissing, others chanting in alien tongues. Michael's voice cracked, but he forced words into the air. "You show what we were at our worst, but not what we became at our best." His words were mocked, drowned beneath echoing laughter. Yet deep inside he felt the sting of deception. These visions twisted truth into poison. As the images shifted, they grew grotesque, exaggerated beyond recognition. Soldiers were shown feasting on corpses, children wielding weapons, Earth painted as a nightmare forged by cruelty alone. Michael clenched his jaw, rage trembling beneath his skin. He shouted, "Lies!" The chamber erupted with laughter, cold and merciless. Helena Voss, standing among alien advisors, stepped forward, her voice cutting like glass. "Do not insult truth with your fragile pride," she said. Her eyes met his, and in them he saw no remorse, only conviction. Betrayal had taken root too deep to undo. Michael's voice shook, not with fear but fury. "You betrayed not me, but every face in those lies." Judge Xytheron leaned forward, his towering frame eclipsing Michael like a mountain of obsidian. His voice resonated, "Your kind destroys not from need, but from desire. Chaos is your nature." The chamber echoed with alien approval, their murmurs a storm of condemnation. Michael closed his eyes, remembering his father's hands pulling survivors from rubble, his mother carrying water across miles of ash. He whispered, "Chaos does not bury love. Love endures where fire cannot." His words were soft, but the silence that followed carried weight. For a fleeting moment, the crowd hesitated, their certainty fractured. Xytheron's silver eyes narrowed with fury, stamping out the ripple of doubt. From the balcony, the collaborator, Admiral Corin Hale, once a respected human leader, stepped forward. His polished uniform glittered with alien medals. He raised his voice, "Surrender is wisdom, defiance only seals our grave." The chamber rumbled with approving murmurs. Michael stared at him, feeling the sting of betrayal deepen. "You call cowardice survival," Michael said, "but history will carve your name in ash." Hale's stern face showed no emotion, his polished exterior masking hollow surrender. The delegates nodded at his words, but Michael saw only weakness in his posture. A man who once stood proud now bent to alien chains. Michael's chest heaved as more holograms filled the air, twisting humanity's story into grotesque fables. He shouted, "Enough! You build judgment on lies." The chamber roared in anger, but a flicker caught his eye. Distorted images of wars that never existed, atrocities no human hand had ever done. Realization burned through him. "They've manufactured this," he thought, a verdict written before the trial began. The chains felt heavier, but his spirit surged. If the truth was buried, then his voice would become the blade to unearth it. His whisper turned into fire. "You fear not our crimes, you fear our survival." The chamber shook with unrest. The next day, Michael Kane was not led to judgment, but to an arena beneath the tribunal. Its floor glowed with alien circuitry, the walls lined with delegates eager for spectacle. Judge Xytheron said, "You will endure what your kind cannot. If you fail, extinction follows." Chains fell away, but Michael's body ached, bruises dark against pale skin. Alien guards thrust weapons toward him, jagged and cruel. He stood unarmed, breath sharp, chest heaving. Whispers rippled across the chamber, not mercy, but ordeal. Michael whispered, "If endurance is what you fear, then endurance is what you'll see." The air thickened with silence before the first trial began. The ordeal began with walls closing inward, blades of energy sparking as they crept closer. Michael pressed his palms to resist, muscles trembling with strain. His skin tore against burning metal, blood dripping onto the floor. Delegates watched with silent hunger. Helena Voss stood above, arms folded, her eyes cold. "Human will is a fragile flame," she said. Michael's teeth clenched, his body screaming in agony, yet he forced his voice out, then watched that flame burn the dark. Sparks lit the chamber as he refused to yield, and in his defiance, whispers of unease stirred among the crowd. The trial shifted again. A pit opened beneath him, flames rising with alien heat, and chains shot out to bind his arms. He dangled above fire that hissed like serpents. Judge Xytheron's voice boomed, "Weakness falls to ash. Strength endures." Michael screamed, not in fear, but in fury. He remembered his father carrying him across collapsing ruins, whispering, "Never let go." He repeated those words now, his body writhing as chains seared his flesh. The crowd leaned forward, expecting surrender, but Michael's roar rose above the fire. "Strength is not in chains, it is in love that defies them." His words struck like a weapon. The flames died, but another torment began. An alien machine projected visions into Michael's mind. Friends turning away, family accusing him, his sister's face twisted with blame. His knees buckled under the illusion. Helena Voss whispered from the balcony, "Even your memories condemn you." He shook, tears streaking his face, but his voice trembled with defiance. "Memories do not chain me. They remind me what I fight for." His eyes burned through the visions until they shattered like glass. Gasps rippled across the chamber as the machine faltered. Not broken, Michael rose again, trembling but unyielding. The ordeal ended in silence. Michael collapsed to the ground, bloodied and shaking, but alive. The delegates murmured in disbelief. Xytheron's face hardened, silver eyes narrowing, fury hidden beneath coldness. Helena Voss stepped forward, lips curling into a smile. You were never meant to survive. This was never justice. It was fear. Her words sliced through the chamber, revealing conspiracy hidden in plain sight. Michael's chest heaved, realization burning. They sought not judgment, but erasure of humanity's endurance. He looked up, whispering, "Then fear is the only truth you've shown." The chamber shuddered with the weight of betrayal revealed. The arena lights dimmed as silence swallowed the chamber. Michael Kane staggered upright, chains clinking as blood streaked his arms. The delegates leaned forward, expecting collapse, but instead his voice broke the silence. "You think chains define us? You think pain silences us? No. Chains only prove we rise." Judge Xytheron's silver eyes flared, his gavel shaking as though his fury could drown words. Michael turned not to the judge but to the countless holographic eyes watching from across the galaxy. His chest burned, but his voice rose higher. "You've seen fire, but not the love that walked through it. You've seen scars, but not the strength that carried them." Michael's voice trembled, yet it carried through the vast chamber like a storm. Mothers bury sons and still rise to protect the living. Fathers shield daughters until breath is gone. Strangers carry each other through rubble when hope has died. Holograms flickered, shifting not by design but by resonance. Images of compassion, sacrifice, and survival emerged in the light. The crowd stirred, confusion breaking certainty. The silent ally, Lyora, whispered from the shadows, "The truth cannot be buried forever." Xytheron slammed his gavel, the crystalline strike booming. "These are lies," he thundered. But his words carried less weight than the echoes of love spoken aloud. Helena Voss stepped forward, fury flashing in her eyes. "You speak of love as if it erases blood," she said. Her words dripped with venom, but her voice wavered under the crowd's shifting gaze. Michael's breath caught, but he answered, "Love does not erase blood. It carries it. It turns grief into strength." For a heartbeat, silence pressed heavy. Then from the balcony, Admiral Corin Hale added his voice, "He blinds you with sentiment. Only obedience saves us." Michael's eyes locked with his, voice sharp as steel. "Obedience saves nothing. Only truth does." The chamber erupted with divided voices, a storm breaking among billions. As chaos rippled, Judge Xytheron rose to his full towering height, his obsidian skin glistening under cold light. "You dare corrupt this chamber with weakness," he bellowed. But Michael raised his voice over the thunder. "Weakness is to deny love. Weakness is to fear endurance. Strength is to endure loss and rise again." His voice trembled but carried across holograms into billions of homes across the galaxy. Faces that once sneered now faltered with doubt. For the first time, Michael saw cracks in their certainty. He whispered to himself, "They wanted a verdict. What they'll get is truth." The final blow fell not from words but sacrifice. Lyora, the silent ally, stepped into the arena, her silver skin glowing faintly, violet eyes sorrowful. "The truth deserves a voice," she said. Guards lunged, but she spread her arms, shielding Michael from their blades. The strike pierced her body, her fall slow and silent. Gasps tore through the chamber. Michael dropped to his knees, anguish flooding his face. He lifted his eyes, fire replacing grief. "We are not asking for mercy," he shouted. "We are demanding recognition." His words rang out with thunder. In that moment, silence became revolution, and fear turned to fire. The tribunal chamber thundered with the crystalline strike of Judge Xytheron's gavel. His voice was colder than steel as he declared, "The sentence remains, humanity shall be erased." Gasps rippled across the chamber. Michael Kane sagged against his chains, his heart pounding with fury, not fear. Lyora's lifeless body still lay before him, her sacrifice unacknowledged by those who claimed justice. He whispered, "You fear love because it endures where your rule fails." The delegates erupted, some demanding extermination, others whispering dissent. Xytheron raised his arm, but the chamber no longer bowed. The verdict had been spoken, yet the galaxy itself had begun to fracture. The chamber dissolved into chaos. Delegates clashed, voices overlapping in fury. Insectoid diplomats hissed for annihilation, while reptilian elders cried for restraint. Helena Voss stepped forward, her voice slicing through the uproar. "Destroy them now before their poison spreads." Michael's eyes met hers, burning with defiance. "Your betrayal once silenced truth," he said. Admiral Corin Hale added, "Surrender is survival." But his words fell hollow, as riots broke out among factions. The tribunal could no longer command unity. What was meant to be judgment had become rebellion. And within it, Michael saw the cracks of fear widening into something uncontainable. The holographic projections faltered, once filled with humanity's crimes, now glitching under the weight of unrest. Michael strained against his chains, rising to his knees. He shouted, "You cannot bury truth. You cannot silence endurance. Humanity is not guilty. You are guilty of fearing us." His voice carried above the storm, and billions watching across galaxies felt the tremor. Some alien faces softened, others grew harsher, but doubt had been sown. Judge Xytheron roared, "Silence!" But even his command could not quiet the fracture that spread like cracks in glass. The truth was no longer contained within the walls of the tribunal. Helena Voss moved closer, her voice sharp with venom. "You are nothing but a symbol of arrogance, Michael. Humanity deserves its grave." He glared back, whispering, "You surrendered your soul long before they chained me." Her lips curled, but the delegate's eyes shifted uneasily. Corin Hale attempted to rally order, raising his decorated uniform as proof of loyalty, but his gestures drew mockery. Michael's voice rang out again. "Love is not weakness. It is the reason Extinction fails." The words pierced deeper than weapons. Even those who despised him could not deny the fire in his eyes. The tribunal's gavel struck again, but its echo no longer silenced the chamber. Michael Kane rose to his feet, chains dragging, voice shaking the hall. "You cannot erase us. You cannot bury us, because we are already inside you. Your fear, your memory, your fire." His words rang across the chamber, piercing into the galaxies beyond. Chaos erupted fully. Some factions rioted, others demanded justice. Judge Xytheron's silver eyes burned, but even his towering frame could not restore order. Michael stood bloodied and broken, yet unshaken. For the first time, humanity was not condemned in silence, it was remembered in fire. The chaos in the tribunal chamber swelled beyond control. Delegates screamed, guards clashed, and holograms flickered like dying stars. Michael Kane stood amid the storm, chains dragging, chest heaving. Judge Xytheron roared, but his words were drowned beneath rebellion. For the first time, humanity's voice was not silenced. It echoed in doubt, in fury, in compassion spreading through billions of eyes. Michael whispered, "Lyora, your sacrifice was not in vain." His gaze lifted toward the galaxy's projection above, where factions turned against each other. The verdict of extinction had been spoken, but the galaxy itself refused to obey. The arena floor cracked with vibrations as alien factions clashed openly. Some shouted for mercy, others demanded annihilation, but unity was gone. Helena Voss raised her voice, "End them before it is too late." Her words sounded desperate, no longer commanding. Admiral Corin Hale clung to silence, shame dragging his posture low. Michael's voice cut through the storm. "You cannot kill us all. Even if you break my body, the truth already lives in you." His words resonated like a blade, striking deeper than fire. Across the chamber, the silent owl's absence became presence. Her sacrifice echoed louder than her voice. The verdict remained carved in stone. Extermination. Guards dragged Michael forward toward the execution platform, his chains scraping across the crystalline floor. Billions watched, their holographic eyes wide with anticipation and doubt. His knees buckled, but he forced his spine straight. "I walk not to death, but to memory," he whispered. Judge Xytheron raised his hand, silver eyes gleaming with finality. Yet outside the chamber, riots ignited across fleets and planets. The galaxy itself split into factions, each scream a fracture in the sentence. The executioner's blade hovered, but hesitation filled the air heavier than steel. Michael stood upon the platform, the blade glistening above him. He raised his voice one last time, fire burning through weakness. "You cannot erase us. You cannot bury us, because we are already inside you, in your fear, in your memory, in the fire you tried to put out." The chamber froze, every word striking like thunder. Delegates who once cheered for his death now hesitated, their voices drowned by the truth. For a breathless moment, silence stretched infinite. Then the chamber erupted, not in unity but in war. The sentence had broken the galaxy, not humanity. When the chamber emptied, smoke and echoes remained. Humanity had not been absolved, but it had not been erased. Michael Kane walked from the platform, body broken, soul scarred, yet alive. Billions still watched in silence, their eyes wide with a new understanding. Humanity was no longer a defendant. It had become a warning. Michael whispered, "They wanted a verdict. What they got was a warning." His silhouette faded into the shadows as the galaxy trembled. Survival was not triumph. It was prophecy. And though chains still clung to him, his voice had already broken them across the stars.